Hello and welcome to another episode of Throttle Stop Garage. Okay, in the last episode we managed to get the oil pan welded up. In this episode, what I'm going to do is finalize the oil pan, right? So we're still not 100% out of the woodwork. I've got to get the insides of that oil pan welded up to the degree that I can. So the big patch that I put on the front side, I like to weld that inside and out. I know I can't reach. There's just no way with a TIG to actually get into some of those places. So I will have to rely on some epoxy sealant to fix. Well, it's not going to leak, but who knows. And I have to get it test fitted into the car. So I didn't do the test fit before. So I got to get it test fitted into the car because really before I take the frame out for what I think could be one of the last times. I mean, the frame's been in and out of this car how many times now? But before I get that frame pulled out, I need to get the oil pan situated in the car so I can finish off the K-member, right? So that where the lower control arm mounts and the connections between there. I didn't actually finish any of that before because I needed the oil pan. It's the final constraint on the bottom of the car. Also in this episode, I'd like to get started on the anti-roll bar mounts. So I think I can get those done. I keep hoping I'm going to get the frame pulled because I need to get it up on the table for the final welding. I'm fairly certain I've cut off enough in this episode that I won't be able to get there. Anyway, let's see what I get done. Oh, and by the way, the engine mounts as well. I had to do a slight modification on one side. I missed a bolt hole. It's going to happen every once in a while. I just completely blew it. I had one that I thought would be... Anyway, I had an 8 mil. There was a 10 mil boss right beside it. I completely missed it when I was making the bracket. So I've added that in. There's some footage of me just quickly putting that in and imagining it never happened. Anyway, all right, let's see what we can get done as we get launched into this part of the project. Alright, so we break the grinder out and we start getting a little bit of that weld prep done. Even for the TIG, I want to make sure I get that weld all the way into the root. I mean, gee, you make mistakes like this, you might as well fix them properly. Cold, is it? So cold my welder won't work. Can't believe I'm in here. Thank you. That's not smoke, that's my breath. Good Lord. It's about 25 below. Out of position, welds upside down on the floor. Why? Because I made a mistake. Alright, now we're breaking the TIG back out. Again, this is going to be a 2-pass weld just for people who are interested. So I'm actually burning and trying to keyhole right through that the remaining sort of slot part that's left over of that prep. So I'm burning all the way through that. I've got it bolted down to a 1, 2, 3 block there. So one's on the one face, like the main body face, and the other one's on the parts, just to keep it straight and to make sure things don't bend or warp. So those blocks actually do come in quite handy for this. Anyway, everything's tightened down and ready to go for the backside pass. So that'll keyhole into the weld that I just put on the front side pass. And then we'll go ahead and put a cap on the whole thing, which is probably, that's just for the, at the end of the day, you don't want people to know. I guess you do, right? Here I am on YouTube telling you that I made this mistake, but there you go. All right, so that's that last bit just going in there. And then I decided to let the TIG welding run just a little longer here. I just want you to look at my hands as I'm doing a weave on the cap. So you can watch the hands and the TIG rod just weave back and forth. Now this is just this is the start of the weave here. So we'll watch my hands as I'm just going to go from edge to edge. Now when you're putting a second pass on a weld, you're going to come at it about half as hot as you came at the initial root pass. So you're not using full pedal here, you're just giving it a little bit because you're only just fusing the last bit of metal up towards the top. So it's actually easier to do if you know a little bit about the heat control. And just as I'm finishing up here, I'm going to be checking the part to make sure I have enough fill on that weld so that when I grind it, I don't have any voids. So I'm going to use that block again just to make sure the weld is always proud. All right, so here's the finished engine mount. She's got some holes in it. Again, this was the hole here that I needed to add. Like we'll try to make sure that that's kind of in focus here a little bit. There, that's good. So you can see that we've added that in there. Once that's, you'll never be able to tell I did anything with that. And then I had to add the slotted holes. Who knows what I was thinking when I built this thing, but some of these holes pick up off of the block that I'm using for mock-up. And even though you'd imagine that these blocks are the same because they're both 5-cylinder Volvo 2.3 liter engines, I want to sort of future-proof the project that way. So we're going to make the block, or make the mounts to make sure that they fit the latest, well, not the latest variant, the latest engine that I'll find in the junkyard. Okay. You can see that I've welded that pan on the inside. I had pretty good luck with it, actually. I'm happy enough with that. So you can see there, again on this, on the part that goes towards the top, I didn't need to, nor can I weld all the way around. And that's that big patch on the inside, so I got that welded up. And that worked out real well, so totally happy with the way that that was. I can't really get in to weld anything else at the bottom of the pan. And it was only along this side here that I had a little bit of a bend as a result of the weld, but a couple of washers stacked up on the girdle and a few rounds of tightening got that pan back to being dead straight. So real super happy with that. So that's a done deal on that part. Alright, so we're now going to shift back to installing that pan and then seeing where we ended up. Alright, just in case you're wondering how all this happened, in the previous episode you will have seen me with the orange tape. I cut the wrong side of the tape. That's what I did. I thought, I beat myself up pretty badly over the weekend figuring out, how did I do this? I went back, checked the footage, cut the wrong side of the tape. I should have checked the pan. Anyway, get the plasma out, blast this thing out of there. I'm in a bad mood at this point. Oh, there's the drain. I didn't know it was there. right? So that's the return from the cylinder head, and I just have enough room to miss it. So I got lucky. We'll take it. So yeah, that actually clears pretty well. But when I found out I made this mistake, I pretty much did this repair all in one go. I don't think it took me any more than about an hour or so to get the whole thing done from start to finish. Because I was pretty furious the whole time. Like I didn't take any footage of various parts because I wouldn't have been my normal jovial self at this point. All right, so I'm gonna weld the inside of this of the additional piece here. I'm gonna weld the outside too, but that's one part where I can get the inside welded. So anyway, in she gets tacked in. At this point, the hockey game's already running, right? I think we're into the second period, and I want to get in and get my Saturday going. So I blew through this real fast. It turned out great. Like I'm not upset with it at all. Live and learn. You know, tack the pan up and then put it in. But quite honestly, I get in a rush just like you do, right? So I make these mistakes. But I'm going to show them on YouTube just for giggles. Okay, so I thought I'd just take you quickly over to the whiteboard just so we can have a look at what it is that I need to get accomplished on the frame. If this is the front of the car here, in this direction here, then the K-member is constructed this way. Okay, so there's two rails, and on those rails we have the lower control arm mounts. And then I stuck a 2.5 inch wide piece between the two rails, so there is a chance that these could move with forces being applied, especially the back. So this is the lower control arm mount at the back. Now, with the oil pan in place, right, so we now have, let's try to draw it in there, right. The oil pan is now situated in here. Okay. Now we can have a better idea of where we can get some bracing in over to the back edges of those lower control arm mounts. So we're going to put these bars in. And we'll also add one more to the front, which is underneath where the steering member is, and that's going to need a little bit of help. Alright, so with that material all cleaned up, we now have to get some pretty precise angles set. And I had lots of material, but I knew I needed to keep some extra there, so you'll watch me do some goofy things here. I also get the angle completely wrong. Like, that angle that I just cut is not the right angle at all. I have no idea what I was doing. So I corrected it, and I'm back. If there's one tool I couldn't be without doing tube work, it's that big 12-inch disc sander. Okay, so now I've moved on to making these anti-roll bar mounts. I was going to go with a big slug inside the frame, but I decided to go with some 3/16 steel, basically like a reinforcing bracket to go on the inside of the frame, and then it'll get M10 weld-on fasteners. So just getting that area all cleaned up and ready to weld and get these fasteners blasted in. At the end of this weekend, just about everything had gone wrong, so I was really looking forward to just having something go right. So anyway, this that's as far as I could get with this, but it did feel good just to stack a few dimes and have everything go nicely for a change. Okay, there we have the pan installed, and happy with the clearance. This is the passenger side of the car, and you can also see the extra brace that I've added in here. I didn't show a whole lot of putting that together other than the cuts and the fails and the other bits and pieces, but I'll show you from the underside what that all looks like in a minute. I've added as well the other part of that cross member. These were always parts that were going to go in. I just simply couldn't finalize them until we actually had the pan built. So the pan had a hard time getting done, I can tell you that. Driver's side, again, you can see the clearance that we have here and the extra clearance that I had to add into the pan in order to get it to fit nicely. But thankfully, it's fitting nicely now. So lots of clearance all the way around, at least a ½ inch. So that should be tons. That's probably about as good as we're going to get, and that shows the steering rack clearance to the oil pan on the bottom. That's kind of what I'm trying to show you, but it's super hard to show. It's just like I can get my hand all the way in and around and under it, so it's not going anywhere. You can see that I've got lots of clearance back there as well. Okay, underneath we go. Okay, so to this side of the image over here, that's the steering bracket, which will get welded on, and these are those cross braces that I added in. So now you can see where those go. Time frames are tight, people, but I'm going as fast and as hard as I can. So you fall into one or two little problems and it starts to stall you out a little bit. I don't know if I have any advice for that other than I try really hard not to think about the whole project. I just try to think about one little thing at a time, one step at a time. All right, so we're going to wrap the episode there. We didn't get as much done as we wanted to get done, but quite honestly, it's just a little bit cold, and I think that the finish of the chassis is a little undercooked right now, so I don't want to take it out only to have to put it in and out several more times. So I'm still a little bit... I'm right at that point where I don't think that I'm ready to do it, so I'm not going to do it. I was going to pull it and throw it up on the table and weld the K-member parts in and put the transmission mount pieces that I built in the summertime, actually put those in, as well as the anti-roll bar bits and pieces that you just saw me build. But I'm thinking it's not quite ready for me to take it out. So I'm going to wait. It's no big deal. I'm not going to wait for months. It's just going to be for a few days. While I ponder the future of the chassis. Anyway, that'll be on a future episode. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining in the adventure and providing the support that I need to get out here and get to work. And honestly, that's why I'm out here, folks. It's so cold that if there weren't people watching my channel, I wouldn't be out here working, trust me. I got a nice warm house and a dog. Or two. Just so you're aware, it's in the links in the description. I haven't got the first run of shirts out yet, so when I get them in, I'll be modeling. Oh my god, the horrors. And if you'd like to support the channel, just have a look at the Teespring thing. So we designed a little shirt there. We'll be probably bringing a few more out later, just for fun. I mean, you know, I get shirts embroidered and I just work in my garage. So anyway, like and subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll catch you on the next episode.